Hey, this is Sasha with the BBK Performance team, and today we're going to show you how to add over 20 horsepower and 15 foot-pounds of torque with our new 1 3/4 tune length performance header systems for your 2015 and up Coyote-equipped Mustang GT. While our BBK CNC series headers are a popular performance option, these new tune lengths retain the factory converter location and are currently in application for an expected 50-state smog legal status. In order to deliver maximum horsepower to the Coyote V8, the trick was to come up with a design that allows each cylinder to have about the same length exhaust tubing, which is exactly what our R&D team was able to do. These systems are currently available in a chrome finish or our optional polished ceramic finish for maximum looks and performance. Each system comes complete with brand new steel reinforced gaskets and all the necessary hardware for an easy installation. So let's check in with Chris as he installs a set of the polished ceramic shorties on our Race Red 2015 GT. First things first, disconnect the negative battery terminal before beginning the installation. You're going to need to take out the air filter box to gain access to the headers, so it's best to start there. Once you have the air filter box out, you can remove the first and second nuts on the top row of studs on the stock header on the driver's side. On the passenger side, remove the first top nut that is behind the AC hose. Then loosen the motor mount nut that faces up towards the header on each side, but don't remove it just yet. At this point, you're going to want to lift the car as high as you can safely, preferably with approved jack stands or a vehicle hoist. Now that you're underneath the car, unplug the 4 oxygen sensors from the wiring harness. Next, remove the 2 bolts from the steering U-joint at the rack and pinion. Then pull the coupler downwards toward the rack and pinion and separate the steering shaft from the coupler, allowing the shaft to hang out of the way. Now you'll need to jack up the bottom of the bell housing to remove the previously loosened nut on the driver's side motor mount. Once removed, jack the engine upward enough to clear the motor mount stud. Then you can remove the 4 bolts that secure the aluminum mount to the engine block and remove it from the car. Loosen the ball flare clamp on the driver's side pipe near the transmission crossmember. Then loosen the exhaust coupler at the resonator and remove the driver's side pipe from the vehicle. Remove the remaining exhaust manifold nuts, then remove the exhaust manifold along with the gasket from the vehicle. Using an 8mm Torx bit socket, remove all of the exhaust manifold studs from the engine block. Next, remove the front oxygen sensor on the stock exhaust manifold and install it onto the BBK tune length header. Follow the same process for the passenger side exhaust manifold. Now you can install the supplied gasket and the BBK header on the remaining studs, then install the nuts and bolts. Once you've got it in place, reinstall the motor mount and lower the engine back down onto the chassis mount. Then reinstall the nut onto the motor mount stud, but don't tighten it down, allowing movement for the passenger side removal and installation. Using a sawzall or a bandsaw, cut on the weld that joins the stock exhaust manifold to the catted downpipe. Then using the supplied hardware, install the new gasket and flange onto the tune length header. Be sure to install the beveled edge of the flange in the correct position as shown. Now you can install the stock catted downpipe back onto the exhaust. Line up the downpipe to the new flange and snug down the coupler that connects the midpipe to the resonator. Then snug down the ball flare clamp just enough so that you can still rotate the downpipe and align it with the hole in the flange. For this next step, you're going to need to use a welder or your local muffler shop to tack weld the catted downpipe to the flange with 3 solid tacks to ensure that it doesn't move during removal. Then remove the catted downpipe from the vehicle and fully weld the inside of the flange to the inside of the downpipe. Then reinstall the downpipe onto the vehicle, keeping sure to tighten all of the clamps and bolts. Now that you've got the driver's side all dialed in, you can start the same process for the passenger side with a few different steps. Remove the 2 bolts that hold the motor mount isolator to the chassis, as the entire motor mount assembly needs to be removed on the passenger side to allow room for the installation. Also be sure to remember that you do not need to separate the catted downpipe from the exhaust manifold on the passenger side. It'll come out of the vehicle in one piece. Once you've completed the installation on the passenger side, you can reinstall the starter as well as reconnect the steering U-joint and shaft. Then, from the top side of the vehicle, tighten the motor mount and header nuts that you couldn't reach from underneath. Finally, reinstall the airbox and reconnect the negative battery terminal. Then, start the engine and check for any exhaust leaks and you're all set. But don't forget, you should double check your header nuts and bolts after about 500 miles just to ensure nothing loosened up on the road. Alright, it looks like we get up to 23 horsepower and 17 foot-pounds of torque at the wheels. Not too bad for a day's work. Be sure to check out the install and dyno videos of our other performance upgrades for your 2015 and up Mustang, including a full line of products for the V6 and EcoBoost models. For more information, be sure to check out our website at bbkperformance.com.